Hey guys, what's up? It's Crowdy9 here with another discussion video, and today I wanted to talk about the ban list and how us not having an official online simulator might be for the better for situations like this pandemic. So guys, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on this video. If you like this video, let me know why in the comment section down below. If you didn't, let me know as well. I would always love to hear your criticism. And if you want to see more in the future, subscribe, but you guys know that. So I wanted to go ahead and discuss how, there was an official online simulator, which prompted me to make this video. So I was going through some stuff and I realized I found the old copy of the CD for the Yu-Gi-Oh! Online game. There was an official online simulator at one point, and this was the disc you needed to install the game. And you would get this from toys and some like collector boxes and all that stuff. It was pretty widely available. It was not that hard to get. And, it was a fun game. I played it for a little bit. I didn't play it for too long. It was a pay-to-play game, so you did have to pay money to keep dueling people and to unlock more cards and all that kind of stuff, which I feel for a game in the early thousands, this is around 2004-ish, it's reasonable. It's the first game that I could think of that was official and online, because Pokemon Online, for example, didn't come out until 2011. So this is about a 6-year to 7-year difference, and you really need to keep that in mind because that's pretty important. But overall, this kind of segues into the current situation, why that game is no longer a thing, and how that's probably a better thing than you might expect. So for obvious reasons, that failed because it was pay to play. Nothing too surprising. It's a children's card game. Most people won't do that unless you're buying packs, and even then, we see that with microtransactions and how that's a big problem. But again, that's besides the point. I want to talk about how we're not having an official simulator and why that's likely not to happen, and why that's also likely a good thing. So hear me out before you go, no, I want an official online one. It's probably better off that we don't. So right now we have Dueling Book, YGO Pro, and Dueling Nexus, and some various other ones, in between there. And I think that's fine. I think it's better to keep these things as unofficial things. And the reason being is that once Konami makes an official online format, an official simulator, it just doesn't work with the current Yu-Gi-Oh! Format of the ban list. Now, this is more specifically catered to the situation right now where there's no sanctioned events. We don't have OTS stores open, at least for sanctioned events. We don't have YCSs, we don't have regionals, we don't have UDSs, all those things, nothing. Those don't exist right now. They're not happening. And you need to keep that in mind for this discussion here. So I'm going to go ahead and use Emancipator as a good example, because Emancipator has Block Dragon, which is considered to be one of the bigger problem cards right now. And think of it this way, you went into Secret Slayers, this is right around the pandemic, about a month in I believe, and again, it's August, we basically in a couple of days, we don't have anything available still. So you bought the deck back in May, June, it's going to get hit one day, it's a very strong deck, but when you don't get to play it physically, you're kind of telling the consumer, oh hey, I know you spend money for us, but we're still going to hit it despite there being no evidence of it being a meta deck. Like, me and you, we both know Emancipator is tier 1. There's no questions about that. But in Konami's eyes, there is no meta right now. Nothing's defined. We don't know if Emancipator is actually really good because there's no statistics showing it on a regional and YCS level. Again, we both know Eldritch, Emancipator, big problem decks. But when people can't play it physically, that's the problem here, is that they spent the money to make the deck or buy the booster packs or buy the sets, and they just can't play it. So why would you be hitting something that can't be played? Now, I do have a very easy solution, but I want to talk about that toward the end. I made a little list here. So the reason why I said Yu-Gi-Oh! Cannot adapt an online simulator is because something like Pokemon, right? They can adapt an online format. And Magic as well, they play under a rotation system, which means that this card, when it came out, was playable for about 2 years, give or take. And that means for that 2 years time span, you don't have to worry about this card getting banned or hit or anything of the sort, because, it's very rare for Pokemon to ban a card within the rotation. It's usually post-rotation when it gets expanded. Then they do that. But for modern Pokemon, this is pretty safe. Now, again, these two cards are not the same. This is a newer version of it that does something completely different. But what I'm trying to point out here is that Yu-Gi-Oh! This card would probably get banned. So the problem is, for an online simulator, right now, we would know if this is an official tournament or an official sanctioned format online, that this is going to get banned. So that means me owning this physical card is completely pointless. Why would I own it when we can't even play in the stores? And it's gonna get hit before I even get the opportunity to play it. And that's where Konami is being kind of smart in the unlimited list. I don't think that we're gonna have a ban list in September. I made a whole video about this. I think what we'll have is an unlimited list. We're gonna see cards go from the ban list to the limits, to the semi-limits, to the unlimited. And I think that's actually probably for the better, because Konami can't really win either way, honestly. We might be calling for Block Dragon and Jet Synchron to get banned. I agree with those options, but it's not fair to the players who bought the decks and just can't physically play it. It just doesn't make sense to them. It's like, oh hey, I bought, Secret Slayers. My Emancipator deck got hit before I got to play it at full power, whatever that might be anymore. And I have to honestly say I agree with that statement. If you put your money toward a product, you should have some kind of playability with it. We can't say like, oh hey, but it's rampant on Dueling Book, it's rampant on YGO Pro. I'm tired of seeing these decks. Technically, they're not real formats. They don't exist to Konami, meaning they don't care. And that's fair. That's totally fair for them to say. That's why when I saw CMO's PPG ban list, it didn't make sense to me, because number one, that's a fake list that has no meta implication and just literally is a tournament of false lists. Everything that topped in that format made no sense. It's like, well yeah, but if this happened on the ban list, it's not happening. Heli Fabric's not gonna get banned anytime soon. It'll go to 1 for sure, but when is the question? And I think that's why Konami should take a smart approach on this coming ban list in September and just bring Harp Horror back to 1, bring Colossus back to 1, bring Engage back to 1, bring these cards back to 1 or 2 or 3, right? And see what happens. I feel like this is the perfect playground for Konami to start cleaning up their list. And yes, the ban list is usually toward marketing their products, selling their products, and that's fine. And I think they should really consider that. It's definitely going to help them out in the long run to just sell future sets, in my opinion. On top of that, it's like you're giving players a bit more freedom in a way by not banning Block Dragon. You're keeping those players unhappy that, oh, Emancipator is still going to be tier 1 then, okay, cool. But if you bring Harp Horror back to 1 and Engage back to 1 and Colossus back to 1, it kind of shifts the meta, not to the point where Eldritch won't be tier 1, but it's more like, I personally think Trickstars kind of counters Eldritch because you can start banishing their Golden Lords and all that stuff, and then they're kind of stuck, right? So bring Light Stage back to 3. Engage, give Skyscraper some power. They're still a strong deck as a tier 2 contender into Rogue, and they can easily beat the tier 1 decks if they have the right resources. They play so many hand traps, it's nuts. And then bring Colossus back to 1. Congrats, Emancipators can't add those cards to their hand. It's small solutions that really do add up toward the end, and I feel like that's the important part. Granted, this is all my opinion, and we don't know if this is going to happen. If, for all we know, Konami is paying attention to what the people are saying. If they are, that's where I also feel might be a problem. That means Konami acknowledged Dueling Book and YGO Pro as a format. And the future implication of this is that overall, we don't know what's going to be safe on the future lists. This just means like, oh hey, I think in September, 3 months from then, it'll be around December is our next ban list. We don't know what's going to happen in December or next February when we still don't know if we're going to be playing. And that's why I think Konami can't have an online format that's official. Because once they do that, then physical cards become almost useless that are tier 1 anyways. Tier 1 physical cards are useless up until further notice. Meaning, Dogmatica or Drogma, if that does deserve any kind of hits in the future, if you buy it physically, it's useless until you can play it, meaning that if they decide to hit it, you bought nothing, you bought air, in the best way to phrase it. So this is unfortunately a lose-lose situation for Konami, right? You either ban things that people want get banned, but then the people who bought the cards get really annoyed with it. But then you don't ban the cards that are getting things people annoyed with, like Block Dragon, then the people who bought it physically are going to be a little bit happier, but then everyone else just might not buy future product. And then again, same thing, if you ban the card, people just won't buy future product. It's like, what's the point of me buying Rise of the Duelist when by December, there's going to be 2 new sets probably, right? There's going to be a main set and a side set and maybe something in between with that. So again, unfortunately, Konami does not win in this situation. But again, I think that not having an online format is the smartest decision. I think that there should be no ban list, but more so an unlimited list. Just start bringing things back. Test the format, test the waters, right? Because I think that things that are banned kind of go, head to head with the tier 1 decks we have right now, which leads to good competition, which leads to more innovation in the meta, which just makes people happier. And I personally think people would be a bit happier being like, oh, well, it's cool to see Trick Stars and Sky Strikers and Thunder Dragons and Orcus back in the meta competing with these titans like Eldritch and Emancipators. Oh, it's so cool. Because then it's like you went from 2 tier 1 decks to like 5. And that, I think Pendulum also needs to get some things unlimited. They just completely died. Pendulum just went poof, bye bye. And that's just overall my opinion on it. I just wanted to make a video. I didn't want to rant forever about this, but I did want to discuss it. I feel like it's pretty important to get that perspective in mind, that it's not always going to be a ban list, and that sometimes that is the answer. And not having an online format in a pandemic like this probably saved Konami more than it hurt Konami. Now, do I think that this should last forever? No. I think that once we're able to play in OTS stores, they should highly consider an online format, just so people have an alternative way to play. I think remote dueling is pretty fun. If you have a webcam and you have a way to set up, going down, it's not that bad. It's just a bit tedious because then both parties need to do it. You need to have some decent connection and some good cameras. But it's a viable option. Would I still prefer dueling in a store? 100%. Shuffling the cards, the whole having your deck in your hand and just actually playing with it just is always better than, oh, let me just click some things on Dueling Book. But overall, guys, I just wanted to make this quick video, just discuss it. I felt like I wanted to more talk my mind on this one, having an open mind session. And what do you guys think? Do you think, I'll ask a couple of questions here if you guys don't mind answering them in the comment section down below. Number 1, do you think Konami should have an online format, an official simulator? Number 2, if you do, how do you think they should handle the ban list? Because again, if Emancipator is running wild on the official simulator, they have to ban the cards, which also impacts the physical sales. And then number 2, do you think we should actually have a ban list hitting cards, or should we have a more unlimited list, like I mentioned, where things just come off the list as opposed to getting put on the ban list? So again, things being taken off. So like a card going from 1 to 2, or from 0 to 1, or from 2 to 3, that kind of thing. So thank you guys for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you like this type of video, let me know. And stay safe, take care, and maybe there'll be more of these in the future. Ciao.